Today is July 20th, 2023. I'm making a January 2nd, 12 p.m. a demonstration of Disney. Today is a day where Disney is flying. And when I look at here, it starts out with a day with a high open right here. This is yesterday's high, yesterday's low, and yeah, exactly. Right? That's how it worked out. Now, when I look at this, there are on Twitter, people talk about like S1 and S2. So what I did was I looked back here, I drew back here, and I realized, okay, so the stock attempted to go up and it hit a resistance and dropped. Okay, it hit a resistance and dropped, hit a resistance and dropped, and then this is a support right here. So this essentially, if I were to draw this out, is essentially a reflection of right here. Okay, so if I were to label this, I would label that as uh, uh, S1. Okay, if I were to label that guy, that would be called S1. So if I look at here, and I would make it like 30, bold, and let's use gold color, set it right there. So that would be S1 right here. That would be S1. So I would consider that to be S1, which is a support. So when I look at here, which is immediately close to where the range was, that means that would be S1. Now, if I were to duplicate text and I would put it right here, right there, that would be actually a resistance. That would be resistance 1. Okay? That would be resistance 1. Now, if I were to duplicate the text here, this would be resistance 2. And then if I were to duplicate that, it would be resistance 3. So that would be resistance 3 right there. So when they talk about like S1, R1, R2, and R3, these are the lines. And what is intriguing is just when I drew this line right here, which represents the R2, it blew past R1, essentially. The point where my designation as resistance was just blown away because of its strength. It just blew past R1. But for R2, it hit and immediately dropped because there must have been some sort of selling that's going on, I suppose. Why would there be something like that? Maybe because people bought here. People bought here. There must have been a heavy volume of buying which occurred here that caused people to say, okay, when it reaches here, they're going to sell. Okay, that's what it seems to be. It seems to have, that's the reason why it's doing that. So that means that heavy selling occurred all the way to here. And then when it absorbed that selling, it is attempting to come back up to the point where the selling ensued. And so this is a smaller version of the individuals who were bought it. So this resistance is weaker than this very strong, almost half a day of buying that occurred. And that's why this resistance is stronger than this resistance. And this is also a weak resistance. This is also a weak resistance. That's also a very weak resistance. But because of accumulation of vast majority of uh, buying that occurred here, essentially that essentially displays itself as a support. That essentially represents the support right there, and that's how things work. And that's I'm actually seeing this for myself now. This is something that I've heard about, but I've never actually saw. I haven't seen this in actual practice on how things work. So if this thing were to actually go up here, there would be a strong, there could be a very, very strong push down. Because there were a lot of selling, there were a lot of buying that occurred all the way up to that point. Buy right there. And when it started to go down, these individuals who bought here are waiting to sell at this moment. So when this somehow hits, then the um, retracement will be far more significant, it looks like.